Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing to the news on church stories. I am Oyi Okbala. Let's begin. In the troubled nation of Ambazonia, a heart-wrenching incident of child abuse has shaken the community to its core. Agobon Florence, a mere 10-year-old girl, has been brutally burned by her own father, Cho Crispel, with a scorching iron. The alleged reason behind this heinous act: Florence was accused of stealing a meager 1,000 francs to buy food, a desperate attempt to satiate her hunger after being left without substance for days. This disturbing incident is an unbearable, unfair, and unjust, and a reminder of the unbearable torture and suffering that children in Ambazonia are forced to endure. As we all watch in horror, the detail of Florence's ordeal are slowly coming to light. Eyewitnesses recount how she was locked in the house, isolated alone from Saturday, January 25, 2025 to Monday, January 27, 2025 for 48 agonizing hours. Florence was denied access to food, medical care, and even the most basic human necessities, for only crime being a child, vulnerable and helpless, in a nation where the rule of law seems to have broken down. Ambazonia is already plagued by a senseless war, a conflict, and instability. Well, it has become a breeding ground for child abuse and neglect. Children like Florence are being forced to bear the brunt of the crisis, their innocent lives scarred by the brutal actions of those who are supposed to protect them. The incident of Florence burning is a grim reminder of the desperate situation that children in Ambazonia face every day. It is a call to action, a desperate cry for help, and a reminder that the world must come together to protect the rights and welfare of children in this troubled nation, Ambazonia. As we delve into the details of Florence's story, we are reminded of the countless other children in Ambazonia who are suffering in silence, children who are being forced to flee their homes, to live in squalid condition, and to endure unimaginable hardships. Children who are being denied access to education, healthcare, and even the most basic human rights, food. The story of Agobon Florence is a testament to the resilience and courage of children in Ambazonia, but it is also a deep reminder of the urgent need for action to protect them from the scourge of child abuse and neglect. Well, these and more will delve into tonight's Undaunted, but first let's get the prime headlines. Here are the prime headlines for tonight. We'll take you back to the kidnapped Colonial deal of Idabato because the sister is out to demand for justice for her brother. Also tonight, Kejom community takes action amidst Colonial government's failures. Remember Lashan's bridge in Bamenda? Well, an operator has been shot dead by unknown gunmen. Also tonight, we'll take a look at the 10-year-old girl severely burned by her father over alleged theft. From the African scene, rebel group calls for a humanitarian ceasefire in the Democratic Republic of Congo, while trade war has escalated. Trump's 10% tariff on China begins, Belgium vows retaliation, and of course, a whole lot of issues coming up. Let's get the news in full briefings. months of no action from the occupational forces. Senge Shalin Eguge, sister of the kidnapped colonial officer, Awane Roland, has accused the colonial government of neglecting her brother because of his ethnic background. Of course, because he's a Southern Cameroonian. 5 days ago, she took to her Facebook page with an urgent appeal to bodies like Amnesty International, the ICC, and few others, pleading that they intervene in the release of her beloved brother, who has been held under inhumane condition. Charlene's frustration with the colonial government is clear. Her pain is evident as she questions why her brother has been left to suffer while the real criminals work free. It is a question that weighs heavily on her heart. In a letter addressed to organizations like the United Nations and Amnesty International, she shared the heartbreaking details of her brother's kidnapping on the 1st of October 2024. For nearly 4 months, he has been held in terrible conditions, and yet the BS regime has chosen to remain silent. She paints a vivid picture of the chaos in Bakassi, where her brother was taken, a place marked by neglect from the colonial government and violence from armed groups, usually impersonating the Ambazonian fighters. Charlene believes that some within the colonial government might even be involved in her brother's abduction. Her letter is a desperate plea for help, demanding that the international body step in. She wants proof that her brother is even still alive and calls for an extra investigation into how the colonizers handle these kidnappings. In her words, she says, Cameroon is falling apart and those in power are responsible for the suffering of their own people. Meanwhile, many would identify themselves with her words. Many feel lost and abandoned in a country rife with violence and uncertainty. In La République du Cameroon, it is a norm of colonial officers, including their master, to ignore pertinent matters, especially when it has to do with the Ambazonian citizens who usually are being treated with indifference. When Charlene demands justice, she demands justice not just for her brother, but for all citizens of Ambazonia who deserve safety and respect. This isn't just about one man. It's about the fight for justice, human rights, and the urgent need for accountability in a nation that is in a senseless war. This particular report, we started reporting from the first day we got this information in October 2024. We got to a point where it was alleged that he was dead because of some of the videos. But then the kidnappers are still demanding for all of their large things that they are demanding for. I can remember our in-house analyst, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, who is, by the way, in the house today, saying categorically clear that regardless of how huge the request of the kidnappers may be, it is something that the government, the Ambazonian, the La République du Cameroon government can do with ease if they want to do it. Because governments can do whatever they want to do. I can remember those words. And I can remember Bar.Tim Mbeseha here also saying that they will not do it because he is an Ambazonian. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, 4 months down the line, families are crying. Their son, their father, their brother is still in the den of kidnappers. Nothing has been done about this situation. Welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Thank you for having me once more, especially on this delicate issue. You see, the issue of the kidnapped personal representative of President Paul Biya is something that has international and national dimensions.
Okay.
As I said earlier, 4 months ago, they will not do anything as a government. They have not done anything ever since. Because from the day the guy was adopted, the only thing we heard was from the governor of the so-called Southwest, who gave a 24-hour ultimatum for them to come back, to bring him back. Of course, only 24 hours have been measured ever since that day. We're now in February, that's about 4 months ago. And the thing has been reduced into a family thing. After the so-called governor, the next thing we saw was the man's wife knocking at doors, going to the governor's office, perhaps going to the minister. The only place you could not have access to was the president, even though the husband was the personal representative of the president. And so today, again, we have a woman calling herself the sister. And if the stories are true, that these guys was adopted, taken into a flying boat, into territory which does not belong to Cameroon, belongs to Nigeria. How far can the voice of a crying woman, sister, mother, reach in Nigeria? It doesn't even go anywhere. So the question we must ask is, what has become of the people who are supposed to be the personal representatives of the president? The duo was appointed by decree, signed by the president. His immediate boss is the prefect of India. We've not heard from him. The boss after him is the governor, who gave an ultimatum. It has not worked. We've not heard from the minister of territorial administration, talk less of the minister of foreign affairs. Worst of all, talk less of even the presidency, even if it is by delegation of authority to the Secretary General or whoever they want to do it. The bottom line, they don't want to do anything for him. He's not worth anything. I'll be surprised if that man is still alive. Abductors don't have space to keep you. They don't have a place to feed you forever. So 4 months is too long for them to keep you. But we're not silent adopters. As you remember, they asked for a ransom. Ransom demands are meant to negotiate. You can ask for anything. You can ask for the moon. You can ask for the sun. The idea is to tell the other party that you're here to get something. They should talk to you. Did they ever negotiate, even to nothing, down to whatever thing they could afford? Not to the best of our knowledge. Why would they not negotiate to release this young man? The simple reason is that he's of no consequence to the system. Because a couple of years ago, Boko Haram adopted the wife of the Speaker of the National Assembly. They demanded a ransom, millions of dollars, a lot of money. And Cameroon government negotiated with the Boko Haram to release the wife of the Speaker. The wife of the Speaker, not the Speaker himself. The wife of the Speaker is not become the wife because he signed a presidential decree to make her the wife of somebody. But this guy is sent by presidential decree, and in official terms, he is known as the personal representative of the president. Why are they doing nothing to get him? Whether it's an Ambazonia or one of them, it's because it's of no consequence. He is not the son of a minister, even if he happens to be one of them. He is not in the privileged class. So I'll be surprised if that man is still alive. They don't care whether he's dead. They cannot say, why would they not negotiate? If they could negotiate with the government of Nigeria to allow them to go to Abuja, capture Ambazonians, fly them in planes and bring them back. They can as well negotiate through the government of Nigeria to release this young man for a price worth the price. All money they ask for in terms of ransom, if you were to pay all that, there's nothing compared to what they get from the ocean there in the name of gas, in the name of oil, which oil and gas are piped to Limbe, piped abroad, and the money comes in secret accounts owned only by the president alone. So it's not money they lack, it's just a lack of goodwill. It's not because they lack anything, it's just because that, in fact, even if they have captured that man, the oil drilling is still going on. They have lost nothing, and I'm sure if they have not yet done it, in the next couple of months, they will appoint another person by another decree to go and sit there and pretend to represent the president. Is that unusual? No. I've said it here before. A couple of years ago, one of us from our own place was appointed there in that very India those creeks to become the deal there. The same function that this guy was. He didn't even get to his station. They shot and killed him on the road. He entered a boat because they go by private boats. They killed him. He never ever got there. Hey, chapter closed. Chapter closed. And so that's the fate. If anybody can listen to that poor girl, that would be wonderful. But from what we know, nobody's going to listen to her. If they released the gentleman today, I'm sure it will not be because of the efforts of Yawande. It will be because it will be perhaps due to the simple reason that these people have some humanity in them. And so that's where we are. That's what we're going through. Again, that is in Diam. Again, I've said many times before, he was taken in a simple flying boat. Flying boats are owned by individuals over there. The administration in the creeks of Idabato, they never had even a flying boat that a simple man can buy. They had nothing. The gendarmes have nothing. So when they take one of theirs and they are taking him away in a flying boat, they fold their arms and see and wash. There's nothing they can do. So this is absolute neglect. This is absolute wickedness that can only be measured with, call it indirect murder. They killed him. Sending someone to a dangerous area without protection is complicity in his or her death. And so these people must be responsible today or tomorrow for the family of this young man, to the family of this young man, for what they put him through. Over to you.
Very sad. I wonder how they've been faring for the past 4 months. But then what looks like a brighter news here in Kejom community. Well, they seem to have gotten a breath of fresh air. But is it supposed to be so? With colonial government support fluttering, the people of Kejom Keku have come together to take matters into their own hands. Well, this records that on the 1st and 2nd of February 2025, His Royal Highness Fon Benjamin Visubong led a donation drive to provide some basic commodities to his people who are in dire need. Since the start of the war in 2016, the Ambazonian people have suffered greatly. They deal with economic struggles, displacement, and a lack of basic services, while the colonial government seems to ignore their needs. This neglect has left many feeling insecure. This neglect has left many feeling abandoned and frustrated. In response, the village of Big Babanke in the Midland zone of Mazem has become a symbol of hope for her people and has stood up to take action instead of waiting for her that never comes. Over the weekend, a distribution event took place where community members provided essential items like school supplies, medicine, palm oil, soap, salt to support the needy, despite the colonial government's indifference. With the pictures you're seeing on the screen, the distribution began on Saturday, focusing on school supplies such as exercise books, pen, pencils. Fon Benjamin Visibong took this chance to encourage the village children, reminding them that they are the futures of tomorrow. He also praised the teachers who continue to educate despite the challenges they face. I mean, take a look at the crowd. There is real hunger. To address health issues, the fund ensured that free medicines were available for villagers with chronic conditions like diabetes, with high blood pressure. A team of doctors from local health units helped provide diagnoses and distribute medications. Well, thanks to all those who came together for this contribution. Leftover supplies were sent to health facilities for continued support. While on Sunday, the focus turned to the women of the community who gathered at the palace to receive donations of food and home items like palm oil, salt, and soap. The fund personally distributed 50 gallons of palm oil, cartons of soap, bags of salt, and the rest. Well, he urged the women to spread love throughout the village. He emphasized that these contributions come from the collective efforts of the sons and daughters of Kejom, from both Big Babanki and Small Babanki. Bar.Tim Mbeseha. Well, this has become the order of the day. You can imagine the crowd that turned up. Imagine the crowd.
When we see that, tears run down our cheeks. for what we've lost. Just last week, late last week, we were talking about some chiefs in Yaoundé signing motions, receiving money, and asking people to, mostly from the northwest and southwest, when the bulk of them were in Yaoundé, are absentee chiefs who have escaped from their own villages. They settled in Douala and Yaoundé, and they use that title to get money. But what this Kejom chief is doing, that is a rare function of a chief. He is there with the people in their suffering and in their enjoyment. Is that new? No. In the West Cameroon government, there was a Ministry of Cooperative and Community Development. The ministry where people cooperate. The community develop itself. It was officially put there. It was a ministry. And that's what the chief is supposed to be. You see, the community of sharing when there is something to enjoy, and sharing in times of despair. Big and small Babangi are some of the areas that would not have been the pivotal centers of this war for liberation. They've killed people there. The people in big and small Babangi have been victims to this war. They have lost their own children. They have borne the brunt of the war. But you still find their chief sitting there, trying to do what it takes to survive in difficulty, trying to do what it takes for the people to have at least the moral to remain there, trying to do what it takes for the children to have pencil, exercise book, to go back to school. That is the role of a chief. That is what chieftaincy is supposed to be, not what we were told by Tanganjit a few days ago, that chieftaincy is a place to mortgage for money, for off-duty allowances, for living in Hotel de Député, for taking 7 million francs to support Paul Biya. That is the farce of a chief. If we were in West Cameroon and we would soon be there, these are the chiefs who should be decorated. These are the chiefs. If this guy had went to school, if the government were mine, I would make him the minister for cooperative and community development. Because he knows what it is to cooperate with the people. He knows what it is to live with the community. He knows what it is to be a chief. That chief, you find him there. He was not crowned by Yaoundé. I'm sure he succeeded to his father based on some traditional rules, kingmakers, which is supposed to be the key factor of our chieftaincy. Chieftaincy, which is supposed to be an important component of our administration, not the component that is coerced to support the government, that is bribed to do wrong things. So we can only say kudos to the chief of Babanki, Kejom. We can also say bravo to them. We can also say congratulations to the chief and say congratulations to the people of that area for being up to the task. Respect your chief respects you. If your chief rejects you, like the ones who have escaped here one day to Douala and live abroad, forget about them. Chieftaincy is not transported abroad. Chieftaincy is within the people. Yes, if the chief can leave his palace alone and hide in Yaoundé, he didn't go to Yaoundé with his palace. He went to Yaoundé, living the community back home, in the community. And then he's sitting there in Yaoundé like most of them are doing. We don't need to call their names, we know them. And then taking escorts to come back home and call themselves chiefs. So that is an example to be emulated. That's what we want of West Cameroon chiefs, of Ambazonian chiefs, of what we used to be. We'll replicate it, we'll revive all these institutions, and the institution of chieftaincy will take its rightful place. We shall subsidize chiefs to do what that guy is doing. Other communities, if the government cannot afford, neighboring communities will subsidize, knowing that we live in the place of community development, cooperative and community development. We'll cooperate with one another and we'll develop our communities. So thank you, the fund of Kejom. Thank you for doing all that. Encouragement to the people for being there all the time for Ambazonia. Thank you.
Oh,
Over
well.
to you.
And of course, with the crowd we saw, we can also say thank you to him as well and to the people, hoping that there will be brighter tomorrow and more goodies to be shared. Moving on, you remember the Lashans Bridge that collapsed sometime in 2024. Oh well, the bridge is under construction. But what happens is that unknown gunmen who are armed went there on Tuesday, February 4th, and shot dead a bulldozer operator who was working at the site of a collapsed Lashans Bridge in Bamenda. According to the reports, the operator was working on the bridge, and then these unknown gunmen came in to shoot the operators. Well, sources say armed fighters stormed the area and opened fire on the bulldozer operator, killing him on the spot. But the thing is, it's uncertain if his killing relates to the rehabilitation of the bridge. An unconfirmed report said that Colonial security forces killed some armed men at Council Junction in Malcon, suspected to have committed the acts. The killing of the bulldozer operator prompted a Colonial military raid in the area, and reports say that they molested several residents. Meanwhile, residents also reported gunshots around the Bamenda Regional Hospital, where we all know is a key health facility. The city of Bamenda has witnessed recurrent gunshots and random killings for 8 years now since the war started in Ambazonia, and this is just bad. This is the same bridge we've shouted and we've screamed, oh, can this bridge be done? Who arms these armed men? And why do they go about causing more harm to the people? Bar.Tim Mbeseha, I know countless times, we've talked, oh, can this bridge be done? Finally, after a year, the bridge is about to be done, and someone dies for what we do not know. Although the reports are saying the reason for the shooting, but for whatever reason, I wouldn't know. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, we do not know. I cannot even know the reason. But the only thing I can say, my opinion is that, yeah, the guy was there. Why was he shot? We don't know why. But was that predictable? Was that foreseeable? The killing of that guy was foreseeable. And again, before I get to that issue, remember, this is Bamenda, which has been touted to be a normal place. Normalcy has returned, so they say all the time. The mayor, the prefect, the governors, the archbishop, they have touted this town as having been returned to normal. Is this what you call normalcy? No. Why was this guy killed? He should not have been killed. Not because they are not people, they are not thieves. They are thieves, they are gangsters all over the place. What does it cost? What did it cost the government? They have been able to send their policemen, their soldiers, their B to police private compounds. Why did they not provide security for this guy? Knowing that he could be a victim of theft. He could be a victim of anybody. They have thousands of bears sitting there doing nothing. The only work they do is to go down the streets and rape women, catch children and kill them, extort money from people. They could have provided security for this man. Why did they not do it? They did not do it because they wanted him to take the chances of dying. And he died. I think we're talking about about the day of Idabato. A few months ago, they told us that they're giving the construction of the road to Kondotiti to the military engineering corps. Why the military engineering corps? Because they think that they cannot come to attack the military trucks, military caterpillars digging the road. So they know what they can do. They know what they should do. So this lone man, just a bulldozer driver, how much did it cost to put 2 policemen working for Atanganji to recruit 2 volunteers? I'm sure Atanganji is from Bamenda there. Who have recruited 2 volunteers, giving them guns to protect those guys who are working there. They did not do it. And so they expose this man to danger, and he's killed. And what do you have next? They'll come and invade the whole town. They must be so stupid to believe that the killer will be so stupid to be kill the guy and just be sitting in the house there. If you kill the guy, why will you be sitting there? You drop off thousands of miles away, hundreds of miles. So when you come to make carry around the place and say you're catching people to look for the caterpillar driver killer, you're wasting your time. You're just looking for people to extort money from them. Because no reasonable killer, nobody who does that will just sit nearby. He will escape because you know that they will come to look for him. So all these people, they went down, running through the streets, claiming that they are looking for the killers. Certainly they captured people and threw them off station. Certainly everybody bought his or her own freedom by paying some 50,000 or some money. And so how did I help the thing? It helped nothing. And so these people are so incompetent. They are so wicked, I can say. It's not enough to provide money for a road to wait for that place. You must also provide security because it is incumbent on the administration who claim to be in control to provide security for everybody day and night. If they are not doing this, they have failed in their primary responsibility towards you. They failed in this primary responsibility towards that guy. When the DO wants to travel out of town, when even a single big guy wants to go, they follow them with 3 armored cars. And so leaving that man at the mercy of a lawless street is the responsibility of the government. And the question is, how did it happen that Bamenda, once a peaceful town, became a lawless town, became a town where crime reigned? And in Bamenda, you have regional commanders of the gendarmerie, colonels of whatever military they be, the infantry, the air force, all what you can talk about. And then there's this unimaginable insecurity. And you take the next door, the city mayor will tell, oh, things have returned to normal. You go the next step, the governor, oh, things have returned to normal. You climb down the next stairs, the archbishop, oh, everything has returned to normal. That is the normalcy they preach for everybody to see with his or her own eyes. Over to you.
All right, Bar.Tim Mbeseha. Today again, we have a news concerning a very small girl who has been abused again. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about and ranting about how abuse has become the order of the day in Ambazonia. Now, a disturbing incident of child abuse has come to light in the Ambazonian area, where a 10-year-old girl who is known as a Kejom Florence has brutally burned by her father, who is known as Cho Crispel. He did that with an iron. The horrific incident occurred after Florence was accused of stealing 1,000 francs to buy food, having been left without sustenance for days. Well, according to eyewitness, Florence was locked in a house from Saturday, January 25th to Monday, January 27th, without access to food or medical care. So probably as children, her desperate situation only came to an end when concerned neighbors intervened and took her to the hospital. But in a shocking turn of events, Cho Crispel and his father forcefully removed Florence from the hospital, citing the need to protect their family's image. This ungracious act has denied Florence's mother access to her child, and as of today, when this report was filed, which was Monday rather, Florence's whereabouts remains unknown. The condition of the young girl is reported to be critical, and her life hangs in the balance. The authorities are urgently seeking Cho Crispel's surrender, demanding that he produce the minor child for immediate medical attention and care. The heart-wrenching incident highlights the plight of children in Ambazonia, who are often subjected to unimaginable sufferings. The case of Kejom Florence serves as a reminder of the need for action to protect rights and welfare of children, especially in Ambazonia, where the senseless war has made so many parents go the other route. As the search of Florence continues, the people, neighbors, they are left to grapple with the harsh realities of child abuse and neglect. This particular incident has sparked outrage, and so many persons are calling for justice, with many demanding that those responsible be held accountable for their heinous actions. In general, the Ambazonian population has been plagued by conflict, war, instability, leaving children like Florence, children being fried, children being stolen, children being dumped, children being aborted, children being vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. It is imperative that the authorities take immediate action to ensure the safety and well-being of these children. Yes, everyone must ensure that Florence receives the medical attention she desperately needs, while Chukwuispel must be held accountable for his actions as well, regardless of the fact that he is a father, and the community must come together to protect all the little children around. It's quite pathetic that 2025 we're starting with so many cases that has to do with children's well-being, welfare, abuse. I know that it's things are very difficult for Ambazonians struggling to feed, just like we've seen in Kejom, where the chief himself had to provide for the people. And then when you take a look at the crowd, you're just wondering what is happening in other communities, right? But then why give back when you can't take care of the child? For the fact that the child is already in this world, why torture and kill the child? Bar.Tim Mbeseha. It's been a year of pain when we look at all of the sad stories that has to do with child abuse. We have reports where children has been fried. Children, they have been thrown away. Children, they've been found in the bush. Children, they've been found in the toilets. Children, they've been aborted, thrown away. Just in the beginning of, just within 6 weeks, we've had all of this report. And today, a child molested and burned with iron. What else are we yet to see?
Well, we're yet to see the unseen. We're yet to see the unseen because, the story itself is long, but has unanswered questions. Part of the story you have told is that up to now, the mother has no access to the child. In other words, where was the mother when this child was abused to this extent? That would suggest that the mother was not living with the father. And so I'm a father of many kids. I have many more grandkids older than 10. I can tell you I was a teacher. I know how children behave. In every household, or most households of 3, 4 children, when they are young, you find this repeated story, oh, they will not thief my bonbon, they will not thief granite. So those small things that children pick are just normal in the growth of children. That child, 10 years old, does not know what is theft, doesn't know anything. He took 1,000 francs, she could have taken 500, she could even have taken 10,000. She doesn't know the value of 10,000. She just wanted to eat something. Even she went to buy bread and gave that 10,000 to the bread seller, and the man did not give her change. She simply took the 10,000 and gave her a leaf of bread. She would go back home. She didn't know the value of the money. Her business was just to eat. She was hungry. And so abusing any child abuse in general, is crime. It's a criminal offense in Cameroon. Child abuse up to that level is aggravated child abuse, which earns you imprisonment. So in a regular society, that man in the first place should be the one who will never see that child anymore. Not because they were taking the child from him, no, but because he will be taken away from the child straight to jail. He will serve a long term in jail, which will of course make that he cannot see the child while he's in jail. And so child abusers are criminals by themselves. But there must be somebody to enforce the law. We are seeing this story. It didn't happen in the jungle. It happened somewhere. Where in that locality you can find a policeman, you can find some gendarmes. You don't need to go far to find a state council. You don't need to go far to find a court house where this people should be prosecuted and sent to jail. This is deliberate child doing harm to children. Unlike the ones of the mothers who deliver them and throw them away. That's a different story. Because if you go to analyze why women do this, perhaps deliver children and throw them away, they have different reasons. They're not even torture. They might even have some mental issues. But this is not the mental issue thing here. This is a man, you see him there, a healthy man, beating a baby, a 10-year-old, and giving that child the unusual punishment of hardship. And even going further to say that they come and take the child to somewhere where nobody will see the child. Because according to them, if the story is true, to protect the name of their family. Protecting the name of a criminal family as concerns a young boy, a young girl, a young child, that should never have happened. It will never have happened in West Cameroon. It will never happen in Southern Cameroon. That guy is a prisoner. He should be prosecuted to the full strength of the law. And again, the question is, where was the mother? Mothers are the people who die in child delivery. They suffer the pains of child delivery. They carry the children for 9 months in their womb. And so, if you are a mother, if you must leave your husband, make sure, if you have to leave your child behind, make sure the child is in good hands. Otherwise, in my own place, they say in the country talk, they say the woman dies for the child. Women want to die for their children. So that mother should never have left behind her child, knowing what the man is. Because if that child is 10 years old, it means that the mother knew him more than 10 years ago. So you should have known him as a man with bad character, with hot temper. Hot temper can lead to killing. And so this is what has happened to this child. It should never happen to any other child. Good enough, the good thing is, the community around, the neighbors, saw the thing and did not agree with it. They are the ones who reported the story. So you have surrounding good parents, mothers, fathers, sisters, and uncles, who could report this type of events going on. But they don't have the power manager guy. Only the government has the power to. Where then is the government of the so-called Republic of Cameroon? Where is the state council? Where are the policemen there? Where are the gendarmes? They are there in their thousands. What are they doing? They're standing on the road extorting money from people. They're just thieves. That's the rightful work they have done. They should have done. They are not doing it. And so, should this ever have happened to any child, be it in Ambazonia or anywhere around the world? No. Child abuse is a crime recognized all over the world. And so it should not happen, even if we're under colonial rule. The colonial master must be able to save the lives of our own children. If they are not doing it, it means they have failed. They have failed. We need to be in a better society, a society of law, where people are bound by the law, where people are punished when they commit crimes, where people are rebuked, where they have the measure of law to protect the weak, like the children, to protect the disabled, and so on and so forth. And so, with the breakdown of law and order in Ambazonia, essentially caused by Yaoundé, because they are the ones who declared the war, they are the ones who brought insecurity, they are the ones who brought the lawless community in our own midst. And so, we have to continue to fight. We only pray that that child should recover. Hopefully the child will recover. And her story will form part of the chapter of child protection in the future Ambazonia. What do you?
All right, thank you so much, Bar.Tim Mbeseha. At this point, would want to, take a deep thoughts I was also thinking that just maybe there's a possibility that she might just be from a broken or separated home, knowing that the father and the grandfather are the ones working together. I know children raised in separated homes, they tend to bear the brunt of whatever happens in the home where the father is probably not even mentally or emotionally okay, because that is the only reason we can attribute such horror treatment to a man, a father. Should we even call him a father at this point? Oh well, a father to a child. But then it's not even enough excuse. So just maybe, you know, one of the answers to the question you asked could be the broken home issues where the mother has not been in sight, and that could explain why the mother has not yet seen the child and the mother brought out the news to the public. Don't you think so?
That is highly possible. But the general advice is this: we know we have broken homes. We know we have not even broken homes where we have uncles. I personally grew up with my uncle. And when I grew up going to school with my uncles, and many of us do. They grow up with uncles, with cousins, with aunties. The general advice is this: as a parent, be it a man or a woman, father or mother, don't leave your child with an uncle. Don't leave your child with their auntie, unless you are sure the auntie or the uncle or the relative will take care of the child properly. We are so familiar with these stories. Where people live in cities, for example, they move to the village and take a 10-year-old baby to come and babysit their own children because they have to go to work. Don't give your child to go and babysit unless the person you're entrusting the child to is the one that you know will take care of the child. When I grew up, I didn't even know my father's name. My uncle was my father. So we have good uncles, we have good aunties, we have good nephews, we have even good neighbors. That is possible. But if you are the parent, whether it is because of separation, whether it is because of work, for whatever reason, if you have to leave your own children with relatives or with friends, don't leave them until you are sure that that family into which hands you are entrusting your baby, your child, will do the very best they can. We're not asking them to bring them bread and milk every morning, but let them give them the basic care. That child was not looking for milk and honey to drink. Was not looking for food to eat, whichever it could eat. We have something at home called gari. What is gari? It's fried cassava. You put it in water, you don't even need to put sugar there. At least it will quench your taste. It will satisfy your hunger for a minute. So all of us who are parents, we should be very careful when we leave our own children with whoever, a friend, because we leave them with friends, trusted neighbors who do that all the time, uncles, sisters, cousins, grandparents. They are your own grandparents, they are your friends. Before you leave your child there, have proper evaluation of who you are entrusting the child to. Otherwise, we're lucky that child did not lose her life. The child could have died. And there's no payment, there's no reward for that. And so the bottom line is, parents, before you give your child to anybody, make sure you trust that family. People who go to take people's children, don't bring children into your home unless you're able to provide them the basic, a sleeping place, food to eat, their basic medical needs, which is just quinine, iodine, fancy that, whatever, that will calm down the fever. If you cannot do this, don't bring children into your house. Over to you.
Very sad, Mbeseha. Thank you so much for being part of Undaunted tonight. At this point, I will let you go so that I can, take a deep breath and, of course, bring the news across Africa right after this short break. The situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo is getting increasingly dire, with a rebel group calling for a humanitarian ceasefire. But that's after capturing the city of Goma. The fighting between the rebel group, known as M23, and the Congolese military has left hundreds of people dead and thousands more fleeing for their lives. The M23 group, which is backed by Rwanda, has been accused of committing serious human rights violations, including killing of civilians, sexual violence, and targeting of activists and human rights offenders. The city of Goma, which is home for nearly 2 million people, have been without access to water, electricity in some areas, and humanitarian organizations are struggling to reach those in need. The UN Security Council has condemned the M23 advances in North Kivu and called on the armed group to stop its offensive, which has given rise to a major humanitarian crisis. The Security Council has also called for the protection of civilians and the withdrawal of external forces from the DRC. Amnesty International has urged all parties to the conflict to prioritize the protection of civilians and has called on the M23 to comply with international humanitarian law. The organization has also expressed concern about the use of explosive weapons in densely populated areas, which has had devastating consequences for civilians, with thousands of people seeking shelter, food, water, sanitation, and healthcare. It is imperative that the parties to the conflict allow for peace and unrestricted humanitarian access to all those in need. Meanwhile, in Uganda, Ebola seems to be taking a significant breakthrough in the fight against it. A trial vaccination campaign has been launched in Uganda, with the first doses of the Sudan Ebola vaccine being administered to volunteers at the Mulago Referral Hospital in Kampala. This marks a major milestone in the efforts to combat the deadly disease, which has claimed thousands of lives in Africa over the years. The Sudan Ebola vaccine, which has been developed by a team of international scientists, has shown promising results in clinical trials with a high level of efficacy in preventing the disease. The vaccine works by introducing a small harmless piece of the Ebola virus to the body, which triggers an immune response and helps to build protection against the disease. The trial vaccination campaign, which has been conducted in partnership with the Ugandan Ministry of Health, the World Health Organization (WHO), and other international partners, aims to test the safety and efficacy of the vaccine in a real-world setting. The trial will involve the administration of the vaccine to thousands of volunteers, including healthcare workers, contract of confirmed Ebola cases, and other high-risk individuals. Oh, well, let's bring news across the globe. The trade tension between the U.S. and China is escalating, with Trump's 10% tariff on China set to begin. But here's the thing. This isn't just about tariffs. It's about the potential consequences for the global economy. Beijing has already announced plans to retaliate against U.S. energy and some cars, which could lead to a full-blown trade war. The real issue at hand is the impact this could have on American consumers and businesses. With tariffs in place, prices for goods like electronics, clothing, and furniture could rise significantly. This could lead to a decrease in consumer spending, which would ultimately hurt the U.S. economy. Additionally, U.S. businesses that rely on exports to China could see their sales decline, leading to job losses and economic instability. It's also worth noting that Trump's tariff plan has been met with criticisms from economists and trade experts who argue that it could lead to a trade war that would hurt both U.S. and China. The National Retail Federation has estimated that a 10% tariff on Chinese goods could cost American consumers an additional $46 billion to $78 billion per year. Furthermore, The Peterson Institute for International Economics has warned that a trade war between the U.S. and China could lead to a significant decline in economic growth, with the U.S. potentially losing up to 1.5 million jobs. That's the Tax Policy Center. Has also estimated that Trump's tariff plan could increase the average household taxes by around $1,800 per year. So while Trump's 10% tariff on China may seem like a simple solution to address trade imbalances, the reality is that it's a complex issue with a far-reaching consequences. The U.S. and China needs to find a way to resolve their trade differences through what I could call negotiation and diplomacy rather than resorting to tariffs and retaliation. On the other hand, the United States Agency for International Development, or you can call them USAID, is facing a major crisis with its future hanging in the balance. The Trump administration is planning to merge it with the U.S. Department of State, which would not only reduce its funding, but also its workforce. This move has been met with criticisms, with many arguing that it would have a devastating impact on humanitarian programs around the world. USAID is an independent agency that has been responsible for administering civilian foreign aid and development assistance. It has a budget of over $50 billion and is one of the largest official aid agencies in the world. The agency has been instrumental in providing aid to countries in need with a focus on poverty relief, socio-economic development, and technical cooperation on global issues. The plan to merge USAID with the State Department has been met with so many opposition, including employees who have been locked out of the agency. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has accused USAID's leadership of insubordination and has taken over as the agency's acting head. This move has been seen as a power grab, with many questioning the motivations behind it. And so we pause and we ask, what is the motivation behind it? Well, the impact of this move could be far-reaching, with many humanitarian programs around the world facing uncertainties. We all know that USAID has been a key player in providing aid to countries affected by conflict, war, natural disasters, and even poverty. The agency has also been instrumental in promoting socioeconomic development with a focus on improving health care, education, and economic growth. There are criticisms of USAID by President Trump and his advisor, Elon Musk, has been seen as a major factor in the decision to merge the agency with the State Department. However, many argue that this criticism is unfounded and that USAID has been doing vital work around the world. The agency has a long history of providing aid support to countries in need, and its work has had a significant impact on reducing poverty and improving living standards as well. The move to merge USAID with the State Department could be a complex issue because there will be different and many factors that will play. But one thing is clear: the future of USAID is currently uncertain, and the impact of this move could be devastating for humanitarian programs around the world. Why am I smiling? Just maybe the Trump factor is playing out. Right, this is where we draw the curtain on tonight on Undaunted. But before we go, let's get a recap of the major stories. Right, tonight on Undaunted, we talked about the kidnap of the Colonial DE of Idabato, while the sisters come out to demand justice and release of her brother. Kejom community takes action amidst Colonial government failures. We gave you a sad report concerning the Lajans Bridge and a bulldozer operator being shot while at work. Meanwhile, a 10-year-old girl has been severely burned by her father over alleged theft. That was a very sad story we also brought tonight. From the African scene, we went to DR Congo, where the rebel group is calling for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, on the foreign scene, we talked about the trade war escalation and how the 10% Trump's tariff is beginning to affect China, Belgium, and others are thinking of retaliation. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Special thanks to Bar.Tim Mbeseha and the technical crew behind tonight's production. From me, it's good night and God bless.